Welcome in, welcome in. How we doing? How we feeling? Welcome in, Tiana. How we doing? How we feeling? Yeah, I've been doing well. But yeah, I'm fine. Sorry, I zoned out. I was replying to someone. But yeah, I'm doing fine. I've just been tired, and needing to be in like a meditative mode, but that's not also able to happen. So I'm like half awake and then multitasking. So it's not working out too well. But we're walking with it. Oh yeah, how we all been doing? I'm trying to wake up, my bad. I've literally just been like getting energy ready to do a lot of things basically. I'm like I have the videos that I'm working on, like the shorts and stuff, and then like figuring out things that I can do with my phone, since I'm unable to download apps and stuff, and figuring out like, you know, making more space for that and stuff, just figuring smaller things out, and then also working on a lot of things, other things behind the scene, like music wise and other plans. So I'm trying to ground myself in getting things to move forward, but I've just been like scatterbrained and needing to rest on it. I'm still working on that meditation track. There's still a lot I have to work on it with. And then I'm also needing to like test it. I haven't worked on it in a while to like keep my ears fresh from it, but I know for a fact there's things I need to change in it. I think it's less of a change than just removing something. But not only that, but I'm also trying to find like the effects for it. Like it needs to oscillate in a specific way, and I'm trying to find a way to get it to oscillate that way, basically. And it's not working. It's not as easy as I thought it was gonna be. I knew it was gonna be difficult, but I didn't think I would like spend all day moving like 0.001% every like knob turn. It's been interesting. Welcome in. How we doing? How we feeling? Yes, very much so. A lot of your online so here's a big tip. If the meditation track on YouTube has like a lot of views, it's not real. It's just not real. I have to be real. It's just not. They're literally taking like free ambient shit off of like websites and then just putting it on there. Most videos you'll see like the 888 frequency, it's the same thing. The only thing that's different is the background, and that's what they're using to draw people. And it's like, oh, it's the same song but a different background. Their brains are going to register it as different because instead of it being a dragon spitting gold coins, it's now a dragon sitting on top of gold coins. So it's different now. It's not. It's the same thing. Most of them are fake. Most of them don't even know what the frequencies are. There's very few channels that will do that and know what they're talking about when it comes to that. One of them I know off the bat is Atona. So far, everything that I've like watched of his and you know looked at his and stuff, it's there. But mainly, what I would start doing, and I really like, and yeah, I can get you a reading, but let me finish this real quick. But I got you. Just have patience. But in the grand scheme of things, if you're going to post meditation music, please put down the actual facts of what frequency you're using, and don't just use the angel number frequencies because they don't exist. Those aren't like actual registered things. Those are things that bring it in esoterically, which isn't based and rooted in anything solid or foundational. It's things that can help you explore the internal depths of things, like what they might mean to you. But in the grand scheme of things, the frequency of 888 is not going to bring you money. That's doing something completely different to your body. Every frequency you're listening to is a different thing that's affecting your body and your cells. It's affecting the water, the molecular data and makeup in you. You need to be careful when doing it. Same thing with subliminals. I can never say that word right. Same thing with that though. I don't trust them. They could be saying whatever the hell they could want under that. You know what I mean? Under the songs. You have to be. You know, it's not being paranoid. It's just making sure, because it's the internet, dude. Do you know how many crazy shits happen on the internet? You know how many people lie on the internet daily? Like, you can't be so certain that they know what they're talking about. You have to do your research when it comes down to this. And even then, when you do your research, research not only involves you, but testing. That's like the whole point of like where you have to test your own products, make sure it's okay. You know, you hand it to certain people, hey, is this going to be good? Is this not going to be good? That's why you do that. It's to make sure that it has, you know, what it's supposed to do. Some people just end up, you know, putting shit together and throwing it up like, oh, it's gonna work. It may or may not. You never know. People are tuned differently to different things. People are on different wavelengths. So you really just got to know like what works with you. You know, experimentation is like the best key. But when you find the channels or the certain like songs or frequencies that work with you, make sure you have them near. Yeah, I know it wasn't about money, but that's just an easy one off the top of the head that I know off. You know, 888 is like a number everyone knows, and everyone knows that it's related, heavy quotes to finances, and that's why I was just using that as an example to tie it in. I know it's about healing, but you know, but what do you need a reading on? And I can get you your reading. You can't just say what's going on in my energy. That doesn't. You don't get readings on your energy. You get readings about yourself. So what do you need reading on? And I got you. Why would you even feel if you have an incubus attached to you? You would why do you think that you have one? We'll ask that to get to the bottom of it because that's not a question to get a reading on. You don't get readings and stuff like that, and you can't do readings and stuff like that. It's not real. That's a scam. It's lying to whoever's saying that you can. They're lying to you. They don't know what tarot is. So I can't do a reading on that. I need to know what you need a reading on. So let's talk about why you think you have an incubus on you. Because it's nothing outside of you. It's everything internally. It's something about your masculine energy. Then it's something about that. Are you? What actions are you taking that's draining you of your own like happiness? Because that's what's going on, based off of what you just told me. And again, that's something you can't get a tarot reading on because that's not how tarot is used to read. And those people who read on things of that nature are lying to you. So again, I can't get that. What do you need a reading on pertaining to you, and why do you think the way that you're feeling right now? That's what we need to talk about when getting a tarot reading. So what actions are you taking currently, you know, that you feel are, you know, hindering to yourself, or is that what you're needing a reading on? It is your thoughts. It's always your thoughts. That's always that's always the main issue is your thoughts. That's your only issue in life is that you think, you know, you're not feeling, you're thinking. Spend more time feeling, and then you won't have to worry about the problems of the mind. You'll know what to do. But you're thinking, so you're suggesting, you're getting suggestions from, you know, pinging from outside and all sorts of stuff. They're not necessarily demons, but just pessimism that's attached to you through past experiences that you haven't worked through yet or been noticing or noticeable of yet. Because, and what people forget to tell you um, about esotericism, which is what we're talking about when we're dealing with demons and things, we're not dealing with spirituality. That goes into the realm of esotericism, is that these are archetypes for things that we can compare them to. The chaos community, or chaos magic users know them as egregores, simple thought forms, servitors, godheads, archons, etc. That's gets mixed in with westernized spirituality because they want to cram everything into like a 30-minute segment, and you can't do that. You have to walk these paths. I've walked many of these fucking paths before. That's why I know this stuff. So when it comes down to it, all everything is telling you to do is to learn how to control your mind, not to get your mind to shut off, but learn how to question yourself. Learn how to see what really is going on. You have to observe both the thought and the feeling to know which one is actually coming first and which one is actually true. No, I can't. You don't do readings on anyone external. You do readings on internal issues only. So things with pertaining to you, not anyone else. We can figure out. Um, I don't know. I don't even know how we would even do that. So honestly, like I don't know. I'm gonna withdraw that one. But I'm literally one of the only. I'm probably. Well, Hobo doesn't even do readings on this channel, but I feel like I'm the only like actual like tarot reader because everyone else is like lying to people or like not giving the correct format of how you read cards. So I wish more people actually like cared about the art that they were using. You can't do readings on that either, dude. It's about right here, right now with yourself. You can't, it has nothing, don't worry about that stuff. That's probably why you're having all these issues, is you're spending a lot of time thinking about these irrelevant things like externally. You know what happened on your birthday because it was happening inside of you. You need to question yourself and ask yourself, what happened on that day? What did I experience that day? Or what was I feeling that day? And then go back through in that sense. You don't get readings on things of past, present, future. That's impossible. The past doesn't exist and the future is unpredictable. It's right now in the present that you're worried about and that you need to stay focused on. What spreads do I use? I just use 1 card or 2 card pulls. Not through tarot, but we can talk about it. The art of tarot cards, they can't tell you that. But when you're knowledgeable on what tarot is, you can have full-on conversations. A lot of these questions that people ask to the cards don't need cards because they can't answer them. They don't have the imagery, they don't have the deception to tell you that. Well, it is deception, is what it is, honestly, when people do that. Anyway, when you know the art form, when you are an actual tarot reader and you are an actual astrologist and you are an actual like mentalist, you're an actual psychic physicist, right? Then you can have these conversations with people. You don't need the cards. So most questions that people ask tarot readers, they should just be able to tell you. You're supposed to be a therapist as a tarot reader. You're supposed to be able to know these issues. You should be able to know yourself well over enough to help other people see what's disconnecting them, to bring them closer to themselves so they can go on their destined path. That's the whole point of it. Modern day tarot readers don't know how to do that. They just look at everything externally and blame everything on the external. They don't see what's going on internally. So they don't actually read tarot. They're telling you the excuses of the rational mind so that you can believe it and fall upon with it. Did you believe that in magic or know you're under a magic attack before it happened? Most people, not really. They heard it from someone. Oh, that makes so much sense. Rational mind. It's making sense. It's making feeling. What is sense? The touch. What is touch? Feeling. They're creating that. That they're literally telling you. You're literally telling on yourself when you say it. Understand this. You got to watch out what you say. You tell yourself everything constantly. You need to be sure that you're paying attention to yourself. You have all the answers actually inside of you all the time, truly. But again, like these modern day readers, they don't know that. Or some of them do, and they just allow it to happen because they want money, and they know it's easy, and you know, because they feel so smart, they like to prey on other people, because some people are fucking stupid like that. But regardless, like, when it comes down to it, like, the cards are there to help you see a more direct way of connecting with yourself. Most questions that people ask with cards don't really have them. Some people, I know that Hobo will do this a lot. He'll just pull a card, whatever card you get is the card that you get, and he won't really, like, you know, say much else about it. But for me, I'd rather not use the cards on, like, issues of that. I would rather talk and get down to a stronger basis of it. You know what I mean? Well, again, like all three of those things aren't separate when you're doing tarot. They're together. The fact that you separate them misconstrues the message. They stay together. You get all three of them together in the card. And that's just based off the three factions of what tarot is. The numerology of the card, which is 1 through 9, 10 meaning a new cycle. You pay attention to the astrology of what planet is it ruled by and what element is it ruled by. Is it air? Is it water? Is it fire? Which one is it? You worry about it in that sense, and then you have all three of those elements connected together in imagery, and images speak 1,000 words, and that's the tarot alchemy right there. Yeah, a lot of people don't even look into the symbolisms of the card at all, which is why they don't know how to fucking read them. You can show the person this card. I'll show you this. Where's the rune on this card? There's a rune on this card. Does anyone know where the rune is? I've talked about it before, but this is just to see, like, I just like ask this question because it's like the easiest one. There's a full-on rune, like, you know, Nordic rune symbol on this card. I'm not covering it. No, I'm not. Okay, but it's there. If you know, when you find it, you know, just say it. But there is a full-on rune on this card, and a lot of people miss it because it doesn't look like a rune, or it's so commonly seen that it doesn't, you know, represent, you know, it doesn't seem like it represents a rune at least. But the rune on that card is the two keys. It's X, it's Gebo. It represents a relationship. The relationship of the two keys, the two consciousness, being able to communicate with each other, with you in the middle, being together, being the high priest of it all, the Hierophant. You have the high priestess and the high priest. He's the Hierophant. He's together. He knows the rules. And that's the symbology. That's part of the symbology of that card. Not many people know that. Not many people can see that because they don't know the art. They don't know the card. The key is that there's two keys. Two heads are better than one. You have the two guards guarding the door, one that always tells the truth and one that always tells the lie. It's been there since the beginning of dawn. You have your two luminaries, the moon and the sun. The feminine comes first. That's why the feminine's forgot, because the masculine's out looking always out. The feminine's staying there behind, waiting to be seen. We don't spend time in that feminine element of the feelings of nurturing, and we forget that we're not, you know, we forget that we're paired. We feel separate. We feel alone. All these terms that people use are describing the relationship between them and themselves. It's between their heart and their mind. I feel bad. I can't stop thinking bad thoughts, and I feel bad because your mind is not focused on your heart. Your mind is focused on the external world around you. It's only being masculine. It's being abused. So then it comes to the feeling aspect of it and abuses you feeling wise. It then makes you feel bad about yourself. It then creates those things. That's what's going on in life. We are bipolar. Everyone is. Bipolar is not an actual disease. It's a big pharma scam. Everyone's bipolar. You have two poles, two magnetic poles that your heart controls. You have your positive pole and your negative pole. Though that's known as your Earth. What is it? The Earth star. And the one, like, the Earth star is the one above or below. I can't remember. But those are your two chakras. The one above your head, the one below your feet. Those are your positive and negative poles. So stop saying negative energy is bad, because if you you're not really knowing what you're saying when it comes down to that, because you're dealing with energy. The Earth has two poles: North Pole, South Pole. Magnetic pull up top, magnetic pull on the bottom. That's what's going on. But people, like, they allow the world to define what they are and who they should be, rather than defining who they are, or and seeing what's really going on. You know, we're taught a lie, so we don't really think about it, and then we're told, oh, it's a lie, and then people get like, oh, well, if I've been told a lie, I'll just forget about everything and listen to someone else. Well, that someone else could also lie to you. You have to do your own research. But I mean, I've studied these cards, dude. It's only been 2 years, but I've studied the hell out of them. Um, I've spent like days just staring at him, like I don't know. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what's happening here, in like in real time, in reality. People reflect themselves, and they don't really see it. They see it as someone else. Oh, it's their fault, or it's this or that. Like no, no, no. We're so used to scapegoating, um, because of like the you know the mass uh, hysteria that religion caused with their dogma. Like we've gotten so used to like scapegoating and blaming our problems on other things that we literally are just creating more problems. Your problem with someone else is now getting you to stop, not seeing the fact of something. Now you're stuck on why they do this to me. They didn't do anything to you. You did something to yourself. You're the one who felt it. They had an action, but you didn't have to respond. That's, and this goes all the way down to physics. If we're going to talk about it deeply, we can bring this over to like physics and, laws of motion. An unstoppable object will not be stopped, cannot stop an unstoppable force. You are an unstoppable force being here. You can do whatever you want. But the second you stop, you then become affected by the things that are also moving around you. You have to stay in motion. No, because the only deck that you really need is the Raider White. That's the only one that's actually going to tell you the factuals of it. Now, that's not to say that Aleister Crowley and them didn't know what the fuck they're talking about, but we know what the fuck Aleister Crowley did, and though that doesn't disregard his messages and his wisdom, it does off-put me because he has his own agenda. That's why the Golden Order split apart by all three of them. They all three got in an argument. Pamela wanted it one way. Um, Crowley went it another way, and fucking Pee Wee Herman, I'll call him Pee Wee Herman, I just don't like the other way, but he wanted it a different way. So he made his own deck, Pamela made their deck, and then Aleister made like two. Aleister made like, what, three decks or something? Two or three? But, like, I will always call him Pee Wee Herman. I don't. He was such a little baby. Like, just reading what happened and stuff and doing research, he was just a little baby. No, don't tell him this. Don't put that there. Shut up. You're like 50 years old and you're acting like a 12-year-old. Like, goddamn. Chill out, dude. no, but. No, but after they split, they really did not, like, Aleister went down his whole thing. I'm not sure what Pamela did. I think she continued studies. And the other dude I didn't even really care about looking at, but regardless, like, uh, even though other decks are cool, it's like they're mimicking, or they're making a mock of the actual, of like the facts of it, the stuff that was driven from Egypt before the Roman Empire came over. We're talking about the Sumerians, Tartarian. We're talking like all the way back, all the way. My God, who are they called? The Dogon tribes, the Dagon and the Dogon tribes, all the way back to there. What they've learned and what they studied and what they were learning, all that stuff is in the Raider White. The only issue is we don't know the symbology. We have to go research because. And my favorite one, well, I found another one yesterday, that became one of my favorites really quick. But it's the Magician and the Chariot. There are symbols on the Magician card that I don't know what they stand for, and I really want to figure out. And there's writing on. There's also the King of Pentacles as well. I mean, not the King of Pentacles, but the King of. Is it the King of Pentacles? It's something. I can't remember. Don't worry about it right now. But it's that and on the Chariot. There's writing on the Chariot's garment, and I don't know what it means, but it's there for a reason. And if you know anything about Pamela, she was a very precise individual. Everything she did had meaning behind it because she was very aware that everything that you did was creating. So she was a very, very creative person, like all throughout. It's the Ten of Pentacles I'm thinking of. I passed up the Magician while talking, but here's the Chariot. I don't know what the fuck. It's gonna be hard to see. I don't know how we're gonna get that to focus in, but if you even look up the card, like right there, those symbols, I don't know what they mean. Those are glyphs of some type, obviously. Um, I'm not sure why they're there, but they're there for a reason. You know what I mean? No, Pamela was beyond her time. Actor, art, drawing, dancing, anything. Occultist, fucking dude. She was bizarre. She had the knowledge. She was very in tune with like the flow of things. She lived a crazy life. So like it's like, you know, when you see these types of people, you have to go like, what are they actually doing? Because what you'll see is what you're going to see, but it's what they're trying to portray, which is everything has meaning. It's showing you that this life is created, and not to like obsess about it and go crazy about it, but to know that if you wish to look deeper, you're going to find an answer. And you know, these hold the like secrets that we've forgotten, the techniques, the actual techniques of how to connect ourselves to each other. It's just about, you know, studying it. But you know, you can do that without even using tarot. I found the magician card. But yeah, these symbols there, I know one of them is the Aztec eagle or phoenix. I'm pretty sure is what it is. I'm pretty sure I debunked it, but it's there on the table. If you look on the magician card there for the Raider White, it's right there. Um, but yeah, eventually, when I get into the major arcana, that's when we're gonna start breaking down the cards and stuff, because most of the imagery in symbology are in the major arcana. That's why it was added to the deck. It's the grand, it's the big secret, the one that covers the minor. The only one that doesn't follow that rule is the Two of Cups and the Lovers. The Two of Cups is the most important card in the deck, because it actually tells you the issue of mankind and how to solve it. The Lovers shows you what happens after you solve it. You can derive the answer from it still, but the Two of Cups just blatantly shows you the feminine standing still, the masculine's coming towards. They're getting healing because the masculine's taking from the feminine. The cup is and then moving forward with it. You know, not worrying about the next step of the Three of Pentacles, but just seeing that aspect of it. You see the whole thing. You see the Ophiuchus symbol. You see the healing, the winged lion, which is the winged beast, a higher consciousness, a higher state of mind. And it's just, I don't know, it's all there. I'm trying to find the Lovers so I can look at it. But yeah, with the Lovers, it shows you the whole like scene. The feminine has fruit, the male spire is tamed. You, the observer, in the middle, not an angel, but it's a human with wings, meaning that you're above the average like mind. You're having a higher consciousness in that sense. You're elevated. You've risen. However, the halo is the sun behind you. It's representative of a halo, not only of just like being purity of masculine energy, of being able to move forward clearly, and things of that nature, but also like being able to have vitality, have that sense of wonder. But yeah, anytime you see the sun, it's talking about, you know, the radiation, the actual rational consciousness, and the moon is always the intuitive consciousness, and that's throughout the whole decks. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I've done so much like research on these cards, dude. I've done so much. What I need is a magnifying glass, though. I just want a magnifying glass to use on these things, because there's like, I'm blind, so I need help. I need visual assistance. That's why I also was partially doing the tarot series with the shorts for that too, so I could have the images up on my computer and zoom in onto them. But yeah, there's a lot in this deck, dude. And the only reason why the tarot has Masonic symbology in it is because, you know, well, God, I gotta break this down. So a thing is a gathering of wise men. You can look up the origin of thing and you'll find that out. That's what a thing is. And they've had things forever. People who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. But when things could not no longer be secret, they then became what you would know as these sororities or these cults. That's why the Masons, Skull and Bones, they expose themselves so that the greater things can stay hidden, because certain things people can't know, obviously, right? Using that term in both ways. But that's what the Egyptian schools were. A lot of the Egyptian schools had their own things going on, their own studies, their own researches. And the not the Europeans, the Romans at first, like with Pythagorean and them, they would come down to try and learn these things, to try and get within the things, to know these secrets, and that didn't work. So they're like, well, if we can't have it, no one can. Let's go raid you. We'll make a new religion, a new ruling order. We'll make it fear-based. And if you disagree with us, we'll just fucking kill you. And that's what they did. So the Masons and stuff, they have the things that the Egyptians and them knew, all the way back, Sumerians, the tablets and all that stuff. They know them, but they're not too sure of how to decode them, and that's where esotericism comes into play. They didn't quite get it, so they had to make similes and metaphors to make it easier to grasp, to make it kind of like not consumer public, but to try to get on the path. Now there are certain people that fully get it, but different people understand different things. But regardless, that's like the whole reason why there's Masonic like symbology in it, is because it's not saying that Masonry belongs to tarot. It's saying that Masonry is a building block of things. Obviously, Masonry used to build, but it existed way before its time. It just wasn't called Masonry. It wasn't called the Masons. Masonry was building with stone and brick at the time. It wasn't anything else, and you know. It stretches on and on through that, but exactly, Daniel, a symbol hits differently. The more the more that you observe, the more that you're able to draw in from something, the more you can like understand it. But welcome in, how we doing, how we feeling? Because there's so much thing. That's why it's important to like communicate about these things, because like my like understanding of it is different from someone else's, and you can gain from anyone. I've told my mentor things. I was like, that caught his mind. He's told me things I was just like, what the fuck? Because you just never know who you're talking to. Someone could be like in a higher level than you. Someone could be at a lower level. Someone could be right at the same level. It's just about communicating. And that's why I love fucking tarot, dude. I'm huge on symbology. That's why I'm really into sigils and stuff too. I love symbology. It's literally around us all day long. Learning, like, once you learn how to read the realm, it kind of becomes like a habit. Okay, so this is another thing. I love when people say that. Okay, so Daniel, the imagery that we see with the left brain and the right brain, that's mirrored. So when you're talking about the West and the left side being the logical, it's the right side of the brain you're actually looking at. They mirrored the image because you're looking out. They knew this. That's part of the esoteric knowledge of knowing how pictures work. It speaks 1,000 words, but it's your mirror. It's speaking to you from you looking at yourself. That's what you're doing. So when you're looking at these images, it's not the left brain. The left brain is the intuitive. It's the right brain that we're locked in. They switch the roles. They make us stay away from the left side. They make us stay away from that feminine, the intuitive side, and focus more on the rational. And then it's the hardwire switch that they have, basically. But it's mirrored images. I have an issue with it. I want to flip the images back, but I get why they're mirrored. But that's like every esoteric image. That's why the man is on the right and the man's on the left and the woman's on the right. They've literally switched the roles because they need you to keep nurturing the physical, maintaining an unhealthy, like masculine rooted, like I need to keep going, I need to keep going. They run you like a train, basically, like the masculine energy is the coal and you traveling is the feminine, basically, when it needs to be the inverse of it. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, I love when people say that because it's like, I know what you're saying. It's just, I like helping people out in that. But what you said is right. It's there. It's just within gymnastics and stuff. Whenever they were doing that stuff, they flipped those images. Every image is like that is flipped. They did the same. It's the same thing as like painting over other paintings and then having to switch it from color to negative to see it. That's what they're doing with that whole thing. Not all of them, but I do know a few of them. The actual symbol for Mercury is the Achilles heel, which is funnily enough. Mars is obviously your martial laws, the four elements, the squares, the fours. Venus is just showing you that there's always going to be beauty. Venus is really the beholder of beauty. That's what it is. It's Lucifer in that sense because it's reflected light with you know, esotericism and Gnosticism and Kabbalicism and stuff. It's Lucifer, the shining star, because it's reflecting Lucifer. It's reflecting your shadow. It's reflecting what's deep inside you. That's what Venus will do. It makes you face that beauty. They just don't go that deep and tell you it. You have Saturn, which is discipline, obviously. Who was the other one? Aquarius is like, man, well, that's not a planet. That's the zodiac. Hold on, I'm trying to think because we don't have we work off of a five planetary luminary system. The two luminaries, the moon, the sun, the five planets, Mars, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn. And that's working off of palm reading. You have a sun sign, a moon. I forgot which one's the sun and the moon sign, but then you have, you know, your planets on your hand. Exactly. There's no duality is a man-made thing. It's the same thing as singularity. They're trying to remove you from your innate nature and put you in something else. We already have like a biohumanism. Like we already have, you know what I mean? We already know that we're genetic beings. Like we have electrical currents going through us. We're water powered. It's all these things. And they want us to remove ourselves from that nature itself because it's like too outlandish or whatever. But like, they try to remove us from that and put us more to a machine. If they have us working relentlessly, ain't no one got to worry about an uprising or whatever. It's not really an uprising of the people, it's the uprising of the soul they're worried about. They can gun down 1 million people. They know they're going to come back in a while. It doesn't matter. They don't care. You know, it's just about you. If you escape their grip, it's like, okay, that's an issue. Because now that you've escaped, now more people are going to know some shit. That's all they care about. That's why they don't care about taking people up, but they don't do it as often. If they started, going around clocking everyone out, it'd raise eyebrows. But, one or a few go away, it doesn't fucking matter. Who cares? If they're gonna be dumb enough to run up to us with guns, knowing we have fucking like supersonic weapons that don't even have to hit you to take you out. They have guns that can give you heart attacks, dude. It's just all frequency. It's just sound waves and shit. They've had this stuff since the fucking 70s, 60s, dude. We just now have AI that can replicate people's, their faces and stuff. What do you fucking think they had back then with CGI, dude? Now it's just AI there, too. And the short memory, that's just from, like, all the sugars, the processed foods, the dopamine receptors being burnt out. That's why we have a short memory. We don't have anything to like keep it up. If our dopamine receptors were like actually healthy, we wouldn't really have many memory issues. We would be able to retain that feeling more naturally, the happiness or this nostalgia feeling more naturally, rather than having to like think about it or have it be triggered in us. It's about like knowing how to protect self from those things, not really being scared of it, knowing that the danger's out there, but knowing that if the danger's there, the solution is there too. Unfortunately, I do not know Hindi. I do not. And I get that a lot. I have a lot of, of that area. I got a lot of Egyptian, mainly Egyptian, but I do have a bit of Hindu. I do have a bit of Arab in me. I have a bunch of. I'm like mixed. I am. my DNA and genealogy is from the fucking Middle East, but I was born in the fucking States, so I look out of place here. But I mean, it's just how it be. But yeah, I love like this stuff. How do we recognize the origin of our guides? Oh my god, what the fuck is it? Geograph. Worry about the geography. Wow. Worry about the geography. Bro, can I speak? If you don't know your like your genealogy, start there, but also know like the geolocation of like where you come from, or like where people say, oh, you look like you come from here. Study like that area, see if anything speaks out to you. At the end of the day, you'll know because it draws you in. It's part of you. It's part of your blood. It's part of your DNA. It's part of your whole makeup. So it's gonna draw you in regardless. You just have to be brave enough to open that door. And sometimes the bravery is just like not procrastinating, because I've been there and done that. Um, I have done my natal chart before. I have a lot of people pick up on the gypsy I have. That's the one thing I've noticed a lot. I've have huge gypsy blood, dude. It's bizarre. And a lot of people end up picking that up. If you end up picking up like Romanian or like Rome, that's where it's coming from. A lot of my ancestors migrated to Rome and Romania during the Crusades rather than going to Ireland, like so the rest of them did. Uh, Not so much for Scorpio, but I have Gemini. Spiritual guides are a thing, but they're not necessarily as um constricted as people would think. A lot of people think your spirit guides are like your ancestors, or like like Anubis, or your gods and goddesses, your deities and stuff. Your spirit guides can also be animals. It Spirit guides are doing one thing. They're guiding you in your spirit. They're talking to your spirit saying, hey, do this. They're talking to your heart, your soul, saying, hey, do this. Sometimes you get the random urge to look outside, right? And you just stare outside. Sometimes a thought comes up and you go, oh, I figured that out. That thought's like this. I worked through that. That's what it means to be for a spirit guide to happen. They're not always going to be like a person or a deity or a god or an archetype. Sometimes it's really just like an animal. Sometimes it's the energy, the flow around things. You're guided by your spirit to move forward. You also are your own spirit guide. That's another thing that people forget. You have a spirit. It just depends on what spirit you're obtaining, you're listening to. Are you listening to a spirit that's focused externally, or are you focusing on a spirit that's getting its information from Pyre, from Mother, from the divine? Everything's a mirror, dude. It's bizarre. And that's another reason why I love doing tarot, dude, because it's so funny. When you do a reading for someone, you also do a reading for yourself. That's the second train joke we've had today. Hell yeah. Mmm. That's interesting. That's very interesting. That you get a fox. And spirit over matter always. I usually see spiders. I'll either see spiders or crows. I've noticed that heavily. Um, a while ago, before the cicadas went back to doing whatever the fuck they do underground for fuck knows. I got a bunch of cicadas, so they were a guide for me for a while. There's still a dead cicada in my room. I need to bury it by a tree for respect, just for respect purposes. That's the beautiful part about it. We're literally just mirrors of each other. It's we show each other aspects of ourselves that we either have overcome or are still hiding from us, and that's why we get triggered. It's like, oh, I don't like that person, because they're showing you literally who you are. You say, oh, that person's ugly, because you've deemed yourself ugly before. You wouldn't be able to do anything to anyone if you haven't done it to yourself first. That does not just mean physically. It can mean emotionally, mentally. There's a bunch of things it could do, spiritually, all that stuff. If you can't do it to yourself, you would never be able to do it to another person, and that's like the full-on truth. Once you stop doing those things to yourself, you no longer will do it to other people. Vice versa, the external world will no longer reflect that back to you. But yeah, like that's a huge like thing. Sometimes what we don't like to see is a higher state of responsibility. Sometimes that triggers us the most, and I've noticed that from firsthand experience. A lot of times, more responsibility will just piss you off more, and it's not bad. But what's happening is you're being reminded of a childlike state. You're being reminded of something from a childhood or when you felt lesser than, and that's what's pissing you off because you know how much you're doing and you see how much more you could or should be doing, and it irritates the entire the inner child because the mind is like, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, and it belittles it. It repeats that same like child abuse cycle, whether it's verbal or however. And it's being aware of that and breaking it, that's super huge. Because like you can do all the like meditations you want, you can do all the crystals, you can do all the readings, you can do all the spell work and whatever the fuck you want, but until you actually ask yourself what's going on, you're not going to see much progress. You have to ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? You have to I mean, you can ask other people why I might need that, sure, but like, why are you feeling this way? Why do you feel like you need to go to someone else to tell you to answer? You know what I mean? It's not a bad thing either. Don't let yourself shun yourself from it either. If you need it, you need it. 1000% do it. Do what makes you feel good. But just know and have that sort of awareness to know that I don't want to do this out of fear. I don't want to do this out of ignorance. I don't want to do this out of hate. I don't want to do this out of doubt. I want to do this out of curiosity. I want to be curious. I don't want to be led by fear. I want it to be genuine curiosity. I want my inner child to just thrive. I'm getting a reading. Why? I'm just curious about these things. Let me figure this out. I'm curious about why I feel this way. I'm curious about why I'm feeling attached to certain things or this and that nature. I'm curious what would happen if I did do this spell. I'm curious about what happened if I did do these things. But do so within your moral boundaries. I'm not telling anyone to do no crazy shit, but just make sure that you're in tune with that child, because it has that curiosity, it has that wonder. It's like, oh, what would happen if I did this? Find out, but let your mind, your brain tell you, like, hey, don't hurt yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the brain's job, is to keep memory, to show you, hey, remember when you hurt yourself doing this? Yeah, don't do that again. And then you just don't do it again. It just helps you learn. But it's become more of like an owner, more of a pimp, I should say, because that's the relationship of the world, is a pimp relationship. Everyone's being pimped out by something or someone. At the end of the day, it's by money, regardless. And that's the relationship that humanity has agreed to live with, because we've deemed the world needs more masculine rather than keeping a balance, which is very unfortunate. But that balance is being restored. As you've noticed, like, a lot of people are getting in tune with themselves, which is good. So that balance is going to be balanced out regardless. It's just the balancing out. Don't be hard on yourself because you're going to be hard on yourself at first. Just don't beat yourself up. Allow yourself to know, like, yeah, I'm taking it at my pace. Even if it takes you 30 years, time is irrelevant. You have an eternity to figure it out. Don't let the illusion of time stress you. It's like the only time you have to worry about is your internal clock, and that's determined by how your heart rate, your blood pressure, that determines your internal clock rate. When you slow down and breathe and work on breath work and work on controlling that, time slows the fuck down. You don't have to wake up earlier per se. You really just need to be more in control of your realm. It's just really like, it's these things, they seem simple talking about, but there's these, I mean, I'm still working through it, obviously. No one's like fully done it. You talk to people who even have like their life made out, quote unquote, they're still like, yeah, there's a lot that I still want to do and struggle with. It's like, yeah, because you will never be fully fixed. It's an endless chase. It's like, it's just a dumb way to describe it, but it's like chasing a high that you'll never be able to get again. It's genuinely like that. You've hit it once, you'll never get there again. You won't find that same satisfaction until you reach your soul, and then you won't need anything at that point. For me, and how I kind of think of it, Daniel, I feel like we're supposed to come home. And I don't mean that in the sense of like when you die. I mean that in the sense of now. Like connecting home, connecting back to the heart space, connecting back to the inner child. I want to do this, I want to do that. Then do it. That's your home. Why are you saying you can't go home? Why are you preventing yourself from going home? You know what I mean? Even though you might not get to the end goal immediately, or it might not be exactly how you imagined it, It's the steps. It's that journey of opening up those doors and letting your inner child back out. You know, that's how I feel of it, at least. And through that, the soul gets wisdom. The soul gets maturity. You know, what does the soul's maturity mean? Why do we need to mature our souls? That I don't know. But the soul gets its nourishment from wisdom. And the more you learn, the more comfortable you get. The less your mind has to have control, and the more you operate out of that heart space. The more you can actually slow down and question yourself. The more you can actually control what goes, you know, into you, and also out of you. But I don't really know why the soul needs to fully mature. I want to figure that out. That's a question I had like fucked myself up on for a minute. Damn, I even asked the question. But at the end of the day, and with the hermit being on the bottom, I hate there's just correlations. Let's go. Regardless, I want to figure that out, or at least have an idea of it. Because there's going to be something more. Obviously, once we're fully connected back to each other, are we beginning back off where we left off with Atlantis, where we were building things? Are we going to go back? You know, what's going to fully happen at that point? What were our ancestors' original goal? You know what I mean? That's really what we'd have to ask, is like, what was our ancestors' original goal? Because we've had, what, centuries of a lot of ancestors escaping abuse and torture. So that's what we can really remember for a while. So, yeah, I need to know what you need a reading on. I can get you 2 cards. Exactly, Daniel. Because, like, once we connect to the heart space, we're already one step closer. So, that's the thing. We need to remember, like, and it's not like remembering that you're a god and then being like, oh, I'm so powerful, but, like, you know, let the rational mind release itself. Yeah, you're a god, but do you remember why did you create yourself? Why are you here? Oh, I could do this, and that. Everyone else is doing that exact same thing. What are you doing? You know what I mean? What are you? It's not necessarily what you bring into the table, but what are you doing? It doesn't matter like what you think you're saying or think you're doing externally. What are you doing? What are you doing? Not you. You. What are you doing? How are you doing? Is the better question. That's the truth. You never all the knowledge, all this stuff that we're finding is not being recovered. It's being rediscovered. It's just being brought back up again. You have people digging in sites to get things. They're not finding shit. They're digging it up. Oh, we found this artifact. No, you dug it up, dumbass. You didn't find anything. It's been there. People been made that and found that before you got there. You dug it up. But yeah, everything is going well today, though, Cassidy. I can't complain. Exactly. We're all children of God. We're all created by God. God breathed into all of our fucking orifices and allowed us to be a living soul. We all know the story. We're not supposed to mimic Jesus, and if you are here to mimic Jesus, dress like him, walk like him, get your hair like him, get your facial hair like him, your skin tone better be like him. I'm just joking on that last part, y'all. No, but you better like do what they say. Same thing for like the Muslims. That's what they do. They're told wear these garments, do this, do that. That's why they do that. They walk in the likeness of fully. Other than that, you just gotta be who you're supposed to be. What love do you bring? What feelings do you bring? Even if it's not love, what feelings do you bring? What do you allow people to experience and feel? Don't bash yourself for it, because your experience is unique. Not people will be able to create what you have at all. And that's a huge thing, especially when creating art. You know, coming from an artist perspective, even like you judge yourself because it's like, my art doesn't sound like it'd be fitting for there. Well, who else started out doing that same thing? It's a beautiful thing to share, like your own vision, your own like taste, your own style. You might not like it because you're seeing it through someone else's eyes, but you have to start seeing it through your heart rather than your eyes at that point. You have to focus on something deeper. Yeah, exactly. We don't have a constant state. We have a state of being whole, which encapsulates an entire spectrum of who we are, you know, on the side of both rationality and the infinite, you know, and that's really it. We can't really be set in stone for anything. That's why I don't like labels, dude. I can't stand labels because it's like you can't just say it's this. You'll change. You're this, but you're also so many other things, you know. That's why it's fun to meet certain like new people. You do multiple things. Oh, I dabble in art, or I do this, or I dance. But you also like work like a 9 to 5. Just walk up to someone, hey, I do this. Oh, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like that's part of like sharing your creation, in that sense. But we're all multifaceted, even when we don't see it. Sometimes it's not a physical thing that we notice. Sometimes it's an internal thing that allows us to be the multifaceted. Not allows us, but is the multifaceted part, I should say. Um, exactly, Daniel. But yeah, it's less creativity versus the ego. You, the observer, the third eye is the ego. That's the big thing that people aren't getting. It's not the third eye pineal gland, but the third eye where it's placed is where you are at. Basically, you have your left side, your right side, and you're getting both data. Like you're not only like we're getting seeing sending, you're also receiving, and it hits both of you at the same time. You're put between two rocks. It's up to you to see which pressure you want to pay attention to, the internal, the external. It's more of creativity and rationality, breaking things down to make it easier or to make it more what's the word, not applicable, but um and it's not, I'm not trying to say easy either. It's like, I guess accepting, more accepting is the word. It's an A word. I can't remember. It's not popping up. Um, but when you rationalize things, you break it down, make it into smaller bits. You don't want to break down what you're doing into smaller bits. You're wanting to know what it is from a whole standpoint. You know, break it down as much as you need, but don't leave yourself with crumbs to work with. You know what I mean? It's like going to like signing for a record label and they say, oh, we like your EP, but you can't have this or that song and we want you to change that. You know, you can make those small changes, but don't disregard your entire project because of like an outside force saying, oh, we don't like that. You know what I mean? Or better yet, you could walk away from them and find a new home, which would be going back to creativity and sticking with the roots of that. Regardless, it's a balancing act. Exactly, Daniel. A picture speaks 1,000 words. You don't. That's the only thing you like. Music, like frequency, and photos are the only two things you don't need to add words to, and it can express more than you can ever like tell. Um, it's a beautiful art form. That's why art is so important. It allows you to be expressive. But now most art you hear is about killing people, and it's like, where's the expression in that? What are you expressing to me and saying that? I don't want any of that expression. I'm okay. But even if you don't feel like you're good at art, doing anything artsy, whether it's like crafting or drawing, doodling, singing, music, whatever, you know, dancing, choreograph, it's all possible. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be good. People will do anything. People will buy just about anything. Honestly, it's kind of scary. Well, peace out, Daniel. Thank you for stopping by, and it was a pleasure as well. We have two Daniels now. Heck yeah. But Confidence and flow, exactly. You gotta find your flow. Not this is I God dang not I was gonna say not every ripple is the same, and obviously yes, but I didn't want to like just say it like that, but I will today. Okay, so this is the fun part about this. The feminine, the heart space, the intuition can't have a meltdown. It is connected to the divine. It gets all its information from the divine. It doesn't have a need to panic. It doesn't have a need to force you to do anything. It doesn't have a need for you to do much. It just waits and sits for you to come to it to get knowledge. So it all comes from the rational mind. Um, Now, and that comes with like thought forms. It comes, excuse me, I started really bad there, but that comes in the form of like thought forms, the masculine, the thought forms that you're getting internally from the feelings that you're already feeling, from the outside world, all these things. It's about all your senses. Well, I should start breaking it down like this. Instead of saying rational mind all the time, I should also say it's your five senses, because your five senses are controlled by your rational mind, which is all based off one, which is touch, and then you have your secondary senses, which is your clairs, your intuition, which everyone has. It's not about unlocking them; it's about realizing and working with them. Um, but it involves your clair, your telepathy, your psychokinesis and stuff of that nature comes from that side, and those are all connected to the spiritual sense. They don't have a need to go crazy or outlandish. It's the mind, the rational mind, that's trying to control it, dim it, or use it in a way that it's not able to. So it creates more feeling, it creates more energy, to push that out. So when people are like having issues with like their feelings and things, it's because their mind. It's not that you're thinking about it and you need to stop thinking about it. It's that you need to be more conscious of when you are thinking about it. When the thought randomly pops up, catch it and see like, why did you come here? Like, what do you have to show me? What are you trying to bring to my table? Because the rational mind's job is not to harm. It does that as a side effect, as it not being like trained or matured enough to know like how to move. It's there as a warning. It's there as to say, hey, this is how we move forward. Hey, look at this, look at that. Pay attention to this. We need to work on that. It's just guiding you. It's the chauffeur. It's saying, hey, to make a left here, make a right there. You know, it's not supposed to be something of hindrance, but it can be when it runs off its on its own for so long. And that's where we have to come into play as the observer and see, what am I thinking about, what happens when I think about it, and why. Like that's the whole like cognitive behavioral therapy stuff that they teach. It's really questioning yourself on that. Like, why do I feel this way? What's going on with this? How can I not necessarily how can I ground myself, but how can I better like grasp what's going on? And whether or not you have to keep it defined to an individual, a place, or however, you just do what you need to do at that time and walk with it. Even if it kind of disturbs you at first, it's because there's something deeper in you that knows that there should be a different way of speaking about it. Maybe you just need to hear it outside. Yeah, that's not a bad thing. The tears is not a bad thing. When you cry, that's you literally detoxing. It's a good thing. When you're in that energy of releasing, you're allowing yourself to actually release it. Now you're not only releasing it mentally, but now you're releasing it energetically with your body producing that and your tear ducts being active, and you're also flushing your entire lymphatic system from like the eye point. So it's really detoxing you. It's getting you more clear-minded. It allows you to see things in a fresher way, and it also grounds you in that sense. So even though you do end up crying after questioning, don't allow that to make you feel like there's something bad going on. Allow yourself to move through that. Don't ask yourself why you're crying. Allow yourself just to cry at that point. But when more thoughts come up, ask yourself, what do you have to show me, and things of that nature. Take your time with it. Don't bull rush through it, obviously, because you don't want to hurt yourself or cause like more trauma or pain, because obviously that can happen. But baby step it, nurture yourself. Allow yourself to cry. Hold yourself if you need to. I've had times where I've like curled up in a ball and cried because I needed like that comforting. I needed that sort of like that nurturing. But whatever feeling is coming up with these tears, be sure to nurture that. Be sure not only to cleanse it, but to nurture it. Show that feeling that, hey, I see you and I accept you being here, but let's work on releasing you so you aren't as heavy, that you can move around more freely within me. Because the feeling that you have has a polar opposite. And what you're feeling is one side of it, and what you're desiring is not really to release and get rid of it, but to transmute it so you can feel the opposite of it. And you can only do that by showing that feeling, that nurturing, by giving yourself that nourishment while feeling those things. How can you strengthen your spiritual body? Focusing on wisdom is a huge thing. Not only that, but getting into like a spiritual practice of a sense, getting into meditation, getting into knowing like what your aura, which is also known as your bioelectric field, or your chakras, which are the main arteries on your major organs, which is an actual fact, by the way. That's what they came from, and that's what they were turned into esoterically. But working with those centers, your vagus nerve system also can affect your spiritual body, because if your nerves are out of whack, then your frequency is going to be out of whack, all that stuff. But as well, like strengthening your spiritual body, allowing yourself to be transparent, feeling everything. Don't gauge things as like good or bad, like that what Daniel was saying, like how people won't avoid feeling certain things because they deem them as like bad or however. It's not that they're bad feelings. Feelings aren't determined by good or bad. They just need to be felt. When you restrict yourself from feeling it, like even when you restrict yourself from feeling angry, you bottle that in. You need to release it, transmute it somehow, whether it's art, whether it's going to a break room. Just don't transmute it on an actual individual. That's the only name of the game, right? But really feel how you feel. If you have to spend a day crying, do so. If you have to scream out loud, hopefully not at anyone, if you can manage that. But if you do, just make sure that you make amends. But if you have to scream, you gotta punch a pillow, do what you need to do to release, and that strengthens you up. That shows you, I'm not a bad person for doing this. This is actually my childhood trauma, or this is just me not being able to be nurtured in a time of releasing emotions or a time of distress that's kept me from feeling able or even worthy of feeling these feelings or expressing them. You might even be sacrificing part of yourself for comfort of someone else, and that's not. And what I mean by that in this sense is sacrificing your own expression to make someone else feel comfortable. That's just telling you that you're not able to express yourself around the individual, so they're not necessarily one to be there as like an emotional body for you in that sense. But definitely working through that out. Finding your spiritual voice, that's just speaking from your heart. You have to tap into your heart. What I do, and I do this a lot every time I speak. That's why I'm always doing other shit with my body. Like I'm not paying attention to the world. I'm distracting the physical and the nerves that they got to do. I zone out and I focus right here. I literally right here, and I just sit there and I focus. And whatever I say just comes out from that point. When I snap out of it, it's very noticeable because I'll go like, "Where the fuck was I talking about?" Train went away, X, Y, Z. But I do my best to stay focused on that self. Because when you speak from your heart, you're speaking from that soul point of view. You're speaking from authenticity. You're speaking from an experience that doesn't necessarily need to be shared, but can be shared for an evolution. You know what I mean? That's why not everyone speaks from that part. But it is kind of painful to speak from the heart. If you have blockages that keep you from doing so, if you have fears or pent up feelings, it gets you a little bit hurt. It gets you emotional. It might make you cry, all these things. And it's because you're literally opening up your heart. You're allowing the circulation to kick in. You're opening your vessel. You're opening the vortex, and not to like receive, but to release these things, to show, hey, I'm ready to let go of these things now. And that allows you to come in, regardless. But it opens that void up. Yeah, that's how it is. When you like up, so you have two main vortexes, one here and then one here. Well, you can't see, but around your belly button and one up here on your chest, right? Those are your two vortex. The one around your belly button is the solar plexus, obviously. That is your sun, solar, the sun, the masculine energy. The sacral gives the feminine, it's the life giver, it's creativity, right? Then you have your chest, your heart, the actual vortex that lets you live that life. It's what the heart does. It beats, it has that pulse. It's your actual energetic value, right? When you're releasing those things, you will always feel a pressure in your chest. That's why you pay attention to your gut and your heart. That's why they say to do that. Those are your two other brains that know more about energy rather than being split half and half. They are the internal system. They are very connected, especially your stomach to the nervous system. So it's important to pay attention to them. But your chest will it will release that, and that's literally your heart chakra, your vortex energy center opening up. It's literally opening. It's your tearing of the heart that you feel is literally that vortex opening up. It's making new room. You're stretching how that area out. So you're feeling the contractions of that happening, and that's just what's going on. It definitely hurts, but it's because you're releasing a lot as well. And the same thing for stomach. When you're having a lot of stomach issues, worry about your pH level, worry about your stress levels heavily, worry about the acidic foods and stuff of that nature, and calm that stomach region down so that you can think more clearly in that self. Exactly. The imagination is such a powerful tool, but we use it in the worst ways, man. It's sometimes not even in the worst ways. Sometimes we use our imagination for silly things and then not do anything with the energy. Which is funny to mention because that's the main reason why mankind will never be able to just, because we waste energy like none other. Dude, we do. People waste energy so much. And it's, you have to kind of laugh at it. But we will never be able to manifest instantly because we literally entertain so much things. We want entertainment so bad because of all the eons and stuff of torture that our souls have gone through. So we want entertainment. So we go out and reach entertainment, and we entertain the things that we should entertain, like pessimism and all sorts of violence and stuff. And then that just becomes integrated into our imagination. But dude, we and it's nothing like we're not bad. We just have to learn how to work with ourselves, man. We have to learn how to do that. But that's the goal. That's the whole thing. Yeah, you're a master manifester. Everyone can manifest anything, but are you able to keep the mindset, the physical set to do so? Can you actually keep the mindset, not buy into the pessimism and go out and do it? That's the challenge. That's the challenge. Anyone can. Genuinely. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You really can in this world. You just have to be determined. You need determination. And your determination is squashed by the outside world and the rational mind. But it's there to teach you to build up as well. Because again, polar opposites, two poles. Though it seems punishing, it's to grow you. You don't necessarily grow numb to the pain. It's you build up that well, some people do grow numb to the pain. Other people build up that boundary to just ignore it and not ignore it, but not have it have an effect on an individual. Yeah, dude, a lot of people are here just to release trauma. I've noticed that a lot, and you can see that just from the world how it is. And as a child, we all have a traumatic experience. We've had it, if it's not traumatic, at least one that's stuck in our mind. Um, so we all have that memory, that core memory of childhood of why we are the way we are. Um, and it's not about destroying it, but it's about seeing what that was actually trying to teach us, because we still have the ties from that. And not even just from childhood. It can be in teenagers, it can be adult years, it can be all sorts of stuff. Exactly. That's the thing, Daniel. Even if, so, it's like this. Even if God isn't real, even if aliens aren't real, even if all these religions and spiritual practices that we follow, even if they weren't real, they still hold very integral wisdom that actually will affect you internally. It will show you the difference in it. You just have to act in that role. You have to read the script and then play the part. What script are you reading? There's a lot of them out there. You can read all of them, you can mix and match them, but how are you going to walk with it? And of course, Victoria, that's what we do. Whenever we get a talking point, or whenever I have a talking point that pops up in my head, we run for a while. But sometimes I just don't have nothing on my mind. But today was definitely a day to talk, for sure. But that's what I do. Dude, it could literally be from like, you can literally get trauma from you trying to predict the future. You can have trauma from trying to like gauge your next steps. You can psych yourself out, dude. You are your worst enemy because you know how to break yourself. You know how to go, oh, but you can do this. It's okay if you do this. No, it's not. But we end up convincing ourselves. I got the hiccups. God dang. But yeah, if we focus, because like the issue isn't like your feelings. The issue is that we don't know how to feel our feelings. Yeah, exactly. That's how, like, drug abuse and stuff is passed down through that same alcoholism. Is passed through the blood of your family, because you, even though you might have different ancestry, you have the same. Your blood and your genotypes are now mixed. Your DNA is now mixed in with them. So you have people that take on anger issues from parents. You have people that take on all sorts of stuff from their parents. And it's not only just your body features; it's their actions. Like, oh, you act just like your father, because he literally has this, or he or she literally has their father's DNA in them. So they're acting out of it. Like, that's their masculine that's their fucking their Y. Their Y chromosome. Are we back? 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 Okay, I think we're back. Okay, sorry about that. That hasn't happened in a while. The internet just randomly cuts out sometimes. It hasn't happened in a fat minute. But it did remind me of something, so that's probably why it did that. And also, like, if you're adopted, you can pick up trauma from just your living situation. You know, only like, because it all depends. Like, let's say you live with your grandparents, or like you were adopted or something. You not only now have like your internal like parents things, you now have the actions of like your surroundings. You adapt to them in that sense. I mean, obviously, that's how we work. But we got to take everything into account, because if you've even had like one phase of your life that's bad, you could be operating off of that part of it. So why the heck is YouTube emailing me? I really don't care right now. Yeah, that's the thing. So that's what just a lot of times you have to feel this thing for a while before you can identify like where it comes from or what it really is. So, give yourself time to really clock in with that. See what is happening, see what part of you are talking to, or is talking to you, however, and work through it on that sense. What was I gonna do? Dude, no way. There's no way. I literally was thinking about like doing that, and it just flew away. I guess what I need to do it. I just got swiped, dude. Men in Black like flashlight to my eyes. I was thinking about like, oh, I should do this. I need to do that, and I'm devising a plan how to do it, and then all of a sudden they says no, so I'm not gonna do it. I feel the same way about my dad, Daniel. I wish I could talk to my dad about a lot of the traumas and stuff that he was going through. Facts. It may be. Don't want to tell me my computer crashed. I'm gonna cry. Okay, it didn't. I almost got scared there. That would be bad. Yeah, I'm gonna hop off here soon. I'm gonna go do a few things. I need to go finish up the tarot series. I have the king and the knight to finish. Where's the king? And then something else. I'll figure what else. I feel like that there's nothing else I need to do. But I'm gonna finish those. I have a video. That's what it was. I have a video that I was gonna get out that I've been writing the notes for. But let me get all this. So regardless though, thank you all so much for being here, for the likes, comments, shares, subscribes, donations, whether they're energetic or financial. I greatly appreciate them all. All my information is here. If you need my email to contact me, email's there. If you're interested in donation stuff or however, there's that stuff's there too, and my website is there as well. For services, you can all just email me about the services as well. I don't have all of them up on the site, unfortunately. No, I did the queen in the page. The next is king, the next is knight. But yeah, I will get those things finished. And then eventually we're gonna begin on the major arcana, and that's gonna be fun. But yeah, we're gonna finish that up and then hopefully get that video out if my computer works with me. But I love y'all so much. To the moon and back tenfold and forever, and I will see you all later.